only 3 years old when I came, and this is my home, and this has got to stop.
I'm not scared. So I'm citizen. I'm happy. I'm United States. I'm born in America. I'm happy. So why you asking me? Some guys asking me, give me passport, give me green card. Why? Why you asking me?
Almost every Somali person living here is a citizen.
There's more than 100,000 Somalis in Minnesota. Roughly 84,000 reside in the metro. The journey from Somalia started decades ago.
My family immigrated here to Minneapolis, to Minnesota in 1993. As my father says, we came to a cold place, but we found people with warm hearts.
My parents wanted to provide us a good opportunity for us to chase after that American dream, right?
Many fleeing from civil war, crossing continents for a chance to build something, a chance for their children. For Sumaya Mahmoud, her parents' struggle paved the way for her to shine. Despite the rhetoric, she's grateful to be Somali and American.
One thing they taught me was resilience and not letting, other people's perception of you limit what you can do for yourself. I was born in Kenya, and then I grew up here, started kindergarten, K through 12, all the way up to college here in Minnesota. So this is all I know.
I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I can say that about other countries too. I can say it about other countries too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. Our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
Hi, so I just really want to make this video from a human space. This is something I've been really meaning to say, and I'm so glad that I can finally articulate it to you guys. So I'm Somali. I grew up in Minnetonka. I've been raised here my entire life. I am born here, and I've lived here. I've studied here. I'm a pre-med. I do research, and that's usually the type of stuff I talk about on my page. But right now, I feel like it's really important for me to say this. What I'm going to say is that I have been getting so many messages telling me to go back to your country, go back to your country. But the reality of the situation is the United States is the only country I've ever known my entire life. And the thing is, the great irony of it all is I'm not the ambassador of Somalia. I don't speak for Somali people. I'm not a spokesperson for this community. I'm just one young person trying to study, navigate life, and live like any other 20-something-year-old living here in this state. And so something that I feel like is going on is that there's a lot of immigrant people and first-gen, second-gen kids like me with this weight on our shoulders trying to explain everything going on in our communities, trying to defend our communities. But I'm really no different from any other 20-something-year-old trying to make it here in this state, in this country, in this world. And so I'm sharing this because I really feel like a lot of us are being treated this way and dealing with this quietly. But the reality is we aren't symbols. We aren't some type of ambassador. We are just human beings like everybody else.
What if the only country you've ever known suddenly told you that you don't belong? Imagine growing up in the United States, going to school there, speaking only English, building friendship, dreams, and a future, only to be told as an adult that you could be sent to a country you barely remember or have never seen. Today we are talking about a deeply complex and emotional issue. Somali Americans who grew up in the US and are now facing possible deportation. This isn't just about immigration policy. It is about identity, family second chances, and what it truly means to call a place home. Stay with me and watch these clips, and then we'll come back with more comments.
Do you want to know what the other side of deportation looks like? Do you want to know what it feels like to have a family member taken by ICE? Can you imagine what it feels like not knowing where your family member is? Can you imagine waking up and seeing that your family member has been trafficked again out of state lines without any communication to the lawyer that you're paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars to? Can you imagine that? I don't have to imagine it. On October 23rd, 2025, my uncle, a Somali man, was kidnapped and trafficked by ICE in Maine while trying to renew his worker's permit. He is a person with no criminal past. He has no criminal history. He's a working class man, an immigrant from Somalia who has lived in the United States for over 20 years. He's paid taxes for every year that he's been here. He's contributed to his local economy every year that he's been here. And he was still taken by ICE in Maine, a state that nobody is even talking about. In the discussions about ICE raids, nobody's even talking about Maine. They're taking people from Maine. They're taking Somali people from Maine. They're taking black people from Maine. They're taking African immigrants from Maine, like my uncle. After they took him, we found out that he was trafficked into Boston. He was placed at Plymouth Correctional Facility, which is a prison in Boston, Massachusetts. We were able to retain a lawyer in Massachusetts, and he was able to speak to him, so we were able to have a direct line of contact with our uncle for the 7 weeks that he was in detainment at that facility.
So, over the past few decades, thousands of Somali families resettled in the US due to civil unrest in Somalia. Many children arrived as refugees, others were born there. Cities like Minneapolis, Columbus, and Seattle became home to thriving Somali communities. Young people grew up American in every way, culturally, socially, and educationally, and here is where things become complicated. Some individuals, often due to past criminal behaviors or even convictions, are now facing deportation proceedings years later, even if they served their sentences, even if they built a stable life since then. And in some cases, the destination is Somalia, a country that many left as children and no longer know.
For those 7 weeks, I don't know how to put into words what it feels like to know somebody you love is in a horrible condition. But we didn't give up, obviously. He has a huge family behind him, and he had a lawyer behind him. And our lawyer tried multiple times every day to get in contact with ICE. My uncle was trying to comply with them. He was trying to get a bond so that he can go get his stuff arranged and leave willingly. And they still did not talk to our lawyer once. They didn't communicate with us. My uncle is a middle-aged man, so he has a few health issues that were not treated while he was in ICE custody. And he was also given food that was horribly unnutritious and cold and nothing that anybody could eat. He was treated so horribly. In the ICE facility, he told us that there is no privacy in the bathrooms. So obviously there's a level of dignity that they're taking away from these people, especially Muslim people who are in there. But in general, everybody, nobody deserves to not have privacy when they use the bathroom. He told us that there are no beds. The lights stayed on all 24/7. He told us after 6 months, some people who have been in there for 6 months, you can get some sort of electronic device provided by ICE. He was not in there for that long, but he told us that there are many people in there who've been in these facilities for over 2 years. Somewhere in the middle of December, they began trafficking him again after 7 weeks of no communication from ICE to our lawyer, even though our lawyer was based in Boston. So he went there physically and they never spoke to him. Our family, his matrilineal family, so he's my uncle through my mother, their brother and sister, we all live in the state of North Carolina. He lives in Maine. So we decided to get in contact with our state representatives. We signed some release forms, consent release forms, for them to inquire ICE about our uncle. They didn't do anything.
Under the U.S. immigration law, non-citizens, including permanent residents, can face removal if convicted of certain crimes. This applies even if they came to the U.S. as children, they've lived here for decades, their entire immediate families live in the America. Once someone is not a citizen, legal protections can be limited depending on the nature of the conviction. The legal system treats immigration consequences separately from criminal sentencing. So someone may complete their life, rebuild their life, and years later face immigration enforcement. That's where the controversy begins.
Say to her, I think I wrote it on the back of the sheet. Here we go. She was born in Somalia, right? She represents Minneapolis. The president of Somalia, the Somalian Democratic Republic, his name is Mohammed Said Barre. He really was a dictator, and he ran Somalia into the ground. And as a result, America opened its arms after that civil war and welcomed thousands, tens of thousands of those people to our country, a place of peace and a place of democratic values. And she has the audacity to look us in the eye and say that President Trump is a dictator? It's insane, and it should be infuriating to everybody, and it's a lack of perspective about how special this country is. That we have a constitution that's endured for 240 years. President Trump is doing the best he can.
So this story raises larger questions. Should long-term residents who arrived as children face deportation? Should rehabilitation factor more heavily into immigration decisions? Does growing up in America make someone American in practice, even if not on paper? It also highlights the importance of citizenship. Many permanent residents may not realize how vulnerable their status can be if they never naturalize. And that's a key takeaway. Understanding your legal status is very, very critical. So Somalia today is not the same as Somalia in the 1990s. So conditions have changed. Conditions have changed over time, but it still faces economic and security challenges in certain regions. For someone who hasn't lived there since childhood or ever, adjusting can be incredibly difficult. So imagine landing in a country where you don't know their language well, you have no professional work or even network, you lack local documentation or even connection. That is not just relocation, it is cultural displacement. So beyond the individuals affected, entire families and even communities feel the ripple effects. Children may grow up without a parent. Spouses may face financial hardships. Communities may also face fear or even uncertainty. So at the same time, others argue that enforcement ensures accountability and upholds national sovereignty. This is why the issue sparks strong emotions across the political spectrum. In this case, it is important to approach this topic carefully, because this isn't about taking sides, it is about complexity. The law is clear in many cases, the human impact is undeniable. At the same time, the policy debate is ongoing. So immigration enforcement and humanitarian concerns often collide in ways that are deeply personal and political. This story asks a powerful question. What defines belonging? Is it paperwork? Is it where you were born? Or is it where you were raised? Or is it the life you've built? For Somali Americans facing deportation, that question isn't theoretical, it is urgent. What do you guys think? Should long-term residents who grew up in the US have stronger protections? Or should immigration law apply the same across the board? Let's keep the conversation respectful and thoughtful in the comments section. And if you found this breakdown helpful, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more in-depth discussions on complex global issues. And as always, stay informed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.